Welcome to the second in our series of live video broadcasts on topics key to education transformation. My name is Bill Fowler, and I'm a director on the Global Education team. I'm delighted that so many of you could join us today. We hope you'll also join us later this spring for other presentations in our series that are listed here. For more information and to register for any of these, please visit our community website for education leaders, GETideas.org. At the end of my presentation, we'll have time for a short question and answer session. As we go through the presentation, you'll see a small hand in the lower right portion of your screen. If you want to ask a question at any time, just click on the hand and type in your question. We'll address the questions at the end. I'll be speaking to you today about the role of partners in helping schools move along the path of holistic, system-wide change, the change we need to engage our students and prepare them to succeed in the global economy. There is a widely held belief that many school systems are underperforming, stuck in 21st century thinking and unable to address 21st century needs. However, it may be fair to say that our school systems are working hard just to keep up with the requirements pressed upon them. Few school districts feel they can break out of traditional practices and move toward the holistic system change they know they need. At the same time, our new president and many education leaders are stressing the need to ensure that our students and our country are competitive in the global economy. We know we need to prepare students for the fast-moving demands of this century. Collaboration and partnerships are a necessary component of this change. Clearly, President Obama is on board with this idea. His partnership with his BlackBerry has been the topic of countless news stories, but the tool itself is not his only or most important partner. The work done behind the scenes by government and technology partners ensures that the tool is safe and secure and yet still gives the president the connectedness he's built his reputation on. Just like the president, no school district can have the people knowledge or know-how to do everything they need to do to transform education. Partners are a very important component of a vision for education that we call Education 3.0. I'd like to spend a few moments talking to you in the next few slides about the big picture of Education 3.0 and why an ecosystem of partnerships is an important part of that picture. So what do we mean by Education 3.0, and what does the evolution of education systems look like? In Education 1.0 phase, there were some schools that provided individualized learning. Then school systems emerged that were designed to educate all students, but there was very little system support for the teaching and learning process. As PCs replaced typewriters and file cabinets, Education 2.0 emerged, allowing for data collection, standardized testing, and the accountability reform movement. The emergence of the Internet and ubiquitous personal technology now allows us to return to individualized learning, supported now by well-integrated systems. This is what we call Education 3.0, and it's where we think we need to be heading now towards 21st century learning and teaching enabled by today's new technologies. This does not mean that we throw out the positive aspects of the last 2 decades. The best of the improved curriculum can be adapted to incorporate 21st century skills such as critical thinking, collaboration, and innovation. This is what we mean when we say supported by adapted system reform. The technological infrastructure to support all of this has to move from being nice to have when it works to becoming, in essence, the fourth utility after water, electricity, and gas. It has to be safe, reliable, and flexible. And, interestingly, when planned in a holistic environment, it can save money by being part of the green initiatives. To achieve the Education 3.0 vision, education systems have to make fundamental changes and at a rapid pace in order for the level of effort to be maintained. This means that you can't go to Education 3.0 in a system that is always in a state of flux. That's just an endless series of new pilots and new programs. Achieving Education 3.0 requires holistic system transformation approach, driven by an extraordinary level of leadership. By the way, we are developing the Education 3.0 vision based on our engagements, as we call them, with schools around the world, and on the latest research and thinking. So what role do partners play in Education 3.0? The integrated approach to holistic transformation, in which partners play an important role, has been successful in top systems across the country and around the world. But system leaders must recognize that their own organizations may not currently have the talent, skills, and abilities to create and execute this holistic transformation strategy alone. Many of the elements of change may well require outside partner assistance. In addition, the rapid pace of change may require external support. Each of the major areas outlined here requires a particular expertise, especially 21st century skills, blending those new skills with traditional forms of curriculum and revising pedagogies. We have observed, and current research shows, that there are two necessary conditions for success in system change. One, transformational professional development, ongoing throughout the entire school year. Second, a learning environment with 100% baseline connectivity deployed and synchronized with the professional development program. All of this means that business as usual won't work. Developing a partner ecosystem is necessary for systems to succeed. It also means that different kinds of partners and partnerships are necessary. So who are these partners, and what do we mean by partner ecosystem? Schools have always had vendors. I'm sure many of you recognize the vendors shown on the slide. The difference is that in a 21st century Education 3.0 environment, these providers must be coordinated and integrated. For example, there is no reason to invest in a reading program from Pearson that won't run on your network, be accessible from home, or tie into your student information system. Yet schools do this all the time. All your partners have to be able to work together to maximize your investment and support that holistic environment. It's also important to note that different partner approaches may be needed. For example, the number one research partner today is Google, and yet very few schools know how it works or how to validate the results. To achieve the Education 3.0 vision, education systems have to address the system as a whole. The days of separate siloed departments who don't speak and don't cooperate must end, and partners can be part of the glue that ties everything together. The game has changed. Key contributors must be involved in the process of improvement and therefore committed to the system's success. So what we mean by a partner ecosystem is a system where partners work together to accelerate district change. Some provider relationships are purely transactional. Others start off as transactions, but once tested, they become more ongoing. These can be evolved into a dynamic strategy for change. In their most evolved form, they become part of the larger ecosystem. So now let's take a closer look at why the ecosystem concept is important. An ecosystem is greater than the sum of the parts. For example, a teacher professional development partnership combined with engaging content partners can maximize effectiveness and help avoid conflicts. If a math recovery partnership needs a special training program, then that training could be combined with core subject matter expertise training to enhance both curricular areas instead of having two independent tracks. An ecosystem also helps eliminate overlap and duplicative purchases. If one elementary reading program is best, why have two? If two or three partners need to be involved in interrelated discussions, an ecosystem approach brings them together to work out a win-win-win solution without putting your staff in the middle. Districts can save everyone's time by insisting on a coordinated ecosystem effort for professional development and programmatic development. Ask your partners to develop the agenda and the format, and then you review. Most systems do not need all the products of any one partner. An ecosystem approach allows you to put them together to determine the strengths and weaknesses and develop a coordinated plan. Now let's take a look at the types of partners to seek out. These are some of the traditional areas within a school system that can benefit from partner relationships. I'm sure many of you have worked with partners in these areas and have ongoing relationships with vendors, but not perhaps in the Education 3.0 ecosystem environment that maximizes their contribution. Remember, fundraising needs to be targeted in terms of the proposed result and the likely sponsor, either a foundation or a demographic. We know that you can't have 100 or 1,000 partners, but how many should you have? Many districts have multiple vendors doing the same thing or very similar things. Why do you need a different reading program at every elementary school? If you have two companies, one provides buses and the other provides drivers, who do you call when Susie doesn't get home? Can your teachers cope when you have three different groups providing teacher professional development, instructional tech, district IT, Math Rabbit Pro? School systems often believe that it is good public policy to spread the wealth. But how many different kinds of computers can you service? how many companies should provide red construction paper. The focus has to be on making the best choice with the information at hand and sticking with a smaller number of providers whom you can engage in the process and trust to deliver when you need them to. We've talked about vendors and we've talked about partners, but what's the difference? As you read the bullets on this slide, think about your process for solving longer-term problems. Do you want to go it alone? Does the company that helped you create the solution have a stake in getting to the successful result? Is there a benefit to changing partners on a specific schedule or just to keep them honest? If your answer has been yes, ask yourself if this has yielded better results, or is this just a way of saying, oh, we're on top of it? The difference between partners and vendors is that partners build long-term relationships and buy into the vision and goals of the district. This can reduce the cost of training, support, and upgrades. It can also improve consistency, accountability, and long-term outcomes if the partnership is developed correctly. You may be thinking, how does state procurement laws play into this vendor-partner approach? I would say although school systems often feel compelled to keep everything and everyone at arm's length, these laws do permit a variety of activities that can lead to partnership-style relationships while protecting public funds. Now let's take a look at some of the characteristics of good partners. Good partners are essential to transformation. They provide products or services that are integral to the change process. Good partners offer benefit to both parties. They must understand the needs of the district as well as their own goals, and they value working together. They have a sense of shared destiny, a vision, set of goals, values that they share with the district without imposing their own views or distracting from the district's goals. They also share a commitment to long-term success. They have a vested interest in working with the district to resolve challenges and differences if they arise. They share deep bonds with their counterparts in the district, and they cultivate those relationships. Good partners contribute to an environment of mutual trust and respect to foster innovation, risk-taking on both sides. Partners must also have the desire and skills to build the ecosystem and manage relationships with other partners as well as the district. If these characteristics define a good partner, which factors are critical to the success of the relationship? Districts must have realistic expectations about what each party will get out of the relationship. They should not embark on a partnership with the expectation of getting something for free or at a reduced cost, although that may occasionally occur. Districts must also cultivate a shared sense of ownership so that partners are invested in the district's success. Districts must involve their partners in decisions from the beginning to build a sense of joint purpose. Recognition and visibility are important. These interactions should go beyond the partner's sales team to include communication between the highest levels of the partner's organization and the district's leadership team. Districts must recognize the need for selectivity. Too many partners can muddy the vision and drain valuable time and resources. So districts need to ask, does this partnership address a critical need? Is it really necessary? Is it necessary now? Does it duplicate another partnership? The timing of new partnerships is also important. Partner products and services must be coordinated with other aspects of system change at the right time. For example, information and communication technology professional development services should not be delivered until the technologies are in place. Districts need to monitor the partner's stability on an ongoing basis to ensure that the partner is adequately funded, brings qualified staff, and enjoys a successful track record with satisfied customers. Strong management is essential. One individual or cross-disciplinary team should oversee the overall creation and execution of partner ecosystem, while partner liaisons should be assigned to manage individual partnerships. Given these success factors, you'll be saying, how do we develop the partnerships? One of the first steps is to assign a manager or a cross-disciplinary team to oversee all of the partner relationships within the developing ecosystem. The manager should have ownership from the beginning. Clarifying and prioritizing comes next, since the goals provide the foundation for all steps and decisions in the partner engagement process. Districts must then construct a criteria model that can be applied to multiple partners. They must collect partner information, references, executive team details, competitive strengths and weaknesses. It is important to prioritize partners. Districts should look for engagements that address multiple needs and amplify the value of existing strategies and relationships and have the highest overall impact. They should also seek out opportunities that are within easy reach or fit naturally with what they are already doing. Finally, they should decide whether the partnership is needed now or in the future. When districts are ready to initiate dialogue, this phase helps illuminate potential areas of strength and weakness, including how well the various personalities interact. It also involves background research. Clear goals are important, and the district should assess the potential partner's alignment, financial stability, maturity, past experience, and total cost of ownership of the partner product or service. The next step is to work on building a win-win environment. Districts should write a statement of work or a memorandum of understanding to document both parties' understanding of their agreement. They need to work with the partner on goals, timelines, criteria, metrics, liaison strategy. It is also important to look for the early wins, to advocate for the partner, and to allow for mistakes. Evaluation is essential. Districts should sit down with each partner regularly to revisit goals, assess programs, and perform the same type of evaluation for the ecosystem as a whole. Changes in personnel and leadership are inevitable. Transitions need to be managed carefully to ensure open and honest communication with a detailed transition plan. Next, we'll talk about how to work with partners over the long term. First, don't follow the hyper-democratic urge. This means don't think that you have to spread the wealth or that your decisions will be more defensible if you can say, we gave contracts to every supplier in town when the salmonella outbreak occurs. Do involve a cross-functional evaluation team. Everyone in the district has an opinion, but you need to think what constituencies matter and how do you get them on board. Educate them. Be sure to include your teachers, staff organizations, as well as the in-house experts. Don't follow the peanut butter principle. Simply spreading out a particular funding resource limits your options and ensures that the program will have minimal impact. If there isn't enough money for real value at every school or every grade level, develop a prioritization plan and plan for success. If you could never replicate a successful program no matter what the impact, don't start it. Do look at multi-year investments and total cost of ownership. Almost all states allow for multi-year investments. They're just disguised in procurement and business office mumbo-jumbo. Don't use 30-year bond money for equipment that is obsolete in 3. And don't fall into the cheaper is better trap. TCO, total cost of ownership, is the language of business. It should be your language as well. Computers typically cost $3 in training, maintenance, and upgrades over their useful life for every dollar spent up front. If your partner can't explain these costs in plain English, look elsewhere. Do completely document your agreements, terms and conditions, and service level agreements. Don't leave yourself at the mercy of the lawyers. The clearer the terms are up front, the easier it will be to address issues in the future. The test should be, could I explain this to Judge Judy? Here's some things to look out for. If it's too good to be true, investigate. Use your intuition and experience to sniff out issues in advance. And if your nose isn't sensitive, find someone whose is. Results do matter. Determine the metrics and the standards for success at the outset. If you can't say what will define success, why are you investing? You and your partners need to be clear on how you will measure progress and success. Understand change management, account for culture, and remember that support is number one. If you are asking people to change their behavior, be sure you understand what will motivate that change and why it will stick. Support from the outset is usually the key determinant of success. Be sure your partner will be there for the long term. School systems usually want to be third. That is, you'll want to see a couple of other systems that have been successful with a particular strategy or program. However, don't be afraid to be a leader if you can satisfy all the other concerns. Bring all the players together, demand frequent and open communication. It's easy to start a program only to be blindsided by an unforeseen problem. Be sure to recognize those who identify a problem and come up with the solution. Reward the behaviors you most want from your team. But many partners, even the most useful ones, will outlive their time. Next, we'll look at what to do when that happens. If you had a long-term partner relationship that seems to have run into trouble, or if your district has just moved on to a new phase, this slide lists the major steps that you need to go through. Clarify the problem or situation. Be sure you understand what's going on. Make sure that change is needed and that you understand why. Listen to and respect all sides of the story. You may need to work with this partner again in the future, and it's important to end in a way that leaves the door open. But sometimes you will need to be decisive if circumstances warrant such an approach. Document issues for future reference. Remember that ending an unsuccessful program is every bit as important as starting a new one. Now I'd like to show you a short video that introduces you to one of our professional development partners in the Gulf Coast schools, the Schlechte Center for Education Reform.
This is the first generation of students that we have coming up that actually know more about something, technology, than the adults in the building. If you think about it, it could be very intimidating for the adults. So the first thing, as a school building level leader or a district level leader, you've got to create an environment where you assure the adults that it's okay, that your students know more than you about the technology, which you're going to ask them to use in their learning. So that means surrendering a little bit of control on the part of teachers. The new teachers, the young teachers coming out of school, are part of that group. They're what Prinsky calls digital natives. Those of us who are 39 and over are the digital immigrants. So we're the ones that have to make the adjustments to the students in their world. So it's a matter of getting the adults to look at technology as something of a tool instead of something that is to be feared. That's a big chore. But the quicker we get folks comfortable with the use of technology and getting them to see how they can use the technology to teach in different ways, as opposed to using the technology to do the same thing that they're doing now.
Now I'd like to share with you some feedback about partner relationships from the schools Cisco worked with in the Gulf Coast region after Hurricane Katrina. Professional development partners are among the most important. The Schlechte Center for Education Reform, mentioned here along with other professional development partners, provided both leadership, training, and teacher professional development. As you see in this quote, the professional development supported the district's vision of creating more engaging work for students. Professional development was one of the components of an ecosystem of partners designed to support this goal. The others included technology and curriculum partners that led to an enthusiastic response from participants and real change in the classroom. This is a great example of the partner ecosystem at work. One of our partners in the Gulf Coast schools was the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington, D.C. Cross-disciplinary teams of teachers visited the museum for a week-long professional development program focused on integrating art disciplines using technology. We asked the teachers and integration specialists to commit to training others in their district after their return from Washington. But administrators found that workshop attendees were inspired to conduct trainings on their own initiative. Over the summer following the workshop, 6 teachers trained over 1,000 other teachers at a conference. One teacher trained 80 other teachers in her district, and another trained others in her district and a neighboring district. This partnership provided an inspirational program outside of the teacher's normal frame of reference that met both professional development and replicability goals. In the Hattiesburg School District, with 92% of the students eligible for free and reduced lunch, one of the goals was to address a situation where many students and families lacked access to basic digital literacy tools. We worked with One Economy Corporation, whose mission is to leverage technology to help low-income people improve their lives. The goal of the district and the goal of the partner were the same. This partnership eventually provided an affordable PC program for district staff, students, and families who were given the opportunity to buy a low-cost desktop or laptop computer preloaded with software. Another partner in this effort was the Hope Federal Credit Union, who worked with Cisco and the district to provide low-interest loans and became an important part of the ecosystem. Another Cisco partner in the Gulf Coast schools, as well as in Jordan and now China, is the Digital Opportunity Trust, or DOT, which provides interns to help teachers integrate new technologies into the curriculum and daily teaching. The DOT interns, who are mostly recent college graduates, worked alongside teachers to help them integrate engaging technologies such as interactive whiteboards, podcasting, blogging, and wikis into the curriculum. They also worked with teachers and students on web research, collaborative websites, and with parents on online assignments. The DOT interns helped many digital immigrant teachers quickly become confident with technology in the classroom and understand the role it plays in supporting the curriculum. This partnership helped the district advance its agenda of supporting the curriculum with technology and engaging students much more rapidly than if teachers had been charged with this responsibility on their own. And speaking of partners, we at Cisco certainly do not believe that we can go it alone or set an agenda for change without your help and the input of education leaders around the world. That's why we've set up a public service website, GETideas.org, as a place for education leaders to collaborate on a new vision for change. We urge you to visit Get Ideas, connect with other leaders, join the dialogue on global education and transformation. And please, don't forget to register for other presentations in our series. We value your input and look forward to seeing you on GetIdeas.org. That concludes my presentation. We will have time now to address a few of your questions. You can continue to click on the hand icon and type in questions now if you wish. This presentation will be available on GetIdeas.org for the next 6 months. Also, after the Q&A, you will see a link to our very short online survey. We do value your feedback and hope that you'll take a moment to give us your comments. As a thank you for completing the survey, we'll be happy to send you our Cisco Executive Action Plan, Support Your District with Right Ecosystem of Partners. We think you'll find this a valuable reference for the future. Now, here's the first question. First question is, are there any school systems already implementing the partner ecosystem approach? How is this working in practice? I can think of 3 off the top of my head. Fairfax County Schools in Northern Virginia, Blue Valley in Kansas, and Jefferson Parish in the New Orleans area. Each of those systems have taken the holistic transformational approach to developing their ecosystem. That is, they have thought through the strategy at the top level of their system, then thought through what did they need to make those strategies successful. So they did not go with a program-by-program approach. Rather, they went with an organized approach and rethought all of the processes of the system, then aligned resources to their strategy so that they could deliver an effective program of change. Jefferson Parish especially is an interesting one because they had to reorganize not just their schools to develop success, but also to recover from the hurricane. And they took the holistic process to do that and are moving to the top of the ranks of schools in the state of Louisiana. Our next question is there a new staffing burden on school districts to recruit and manage partner relationships? Initially, there is. I don't want to sugarcoat this. You are asking people to change behaviors, sometimes even of a lifetime. But what you will find over time is that as you come to rely on your partners instead of manage your vendors, you will find that you have more time for planning and strategic level thinking, and you spend less time reacting to problems. That change from being reactive to proactive is highly motivational for employees, makes them feel like they're making a greater contribution, and you'll find both an increase in productivity and an increase in impact and results. Our next question is, can we talk a little bit more about the cost efficiencies of a partner ecosystem? The number one area where ecosystems can save money is the reduction of duplicative spending and the management that I mentioned that comes from looking at the total cost of ownerships. Districts get into trouble oftentimes because they think, okay, we need technology in the classroom. We have one pot of money for that technology initiative. And they say, okay, let's buy the most computers we can and spread them out amongst the schools. I can't count the number of times I've seen that in school systems. What they fail to do then is think through, how are we going to get the training in place? How are we going to distribute and manage the installation of these machines? How will we then manage the upkeep of these machines? And how will we deal with the replacement in the future? All of those things have to be thought through in the current time frame before one dime is spent on the use of that machine. If we don't, we end up with a circumstance where the technology investment is wasted, or the professional development that was scheduled is not able to be delivered because the equipment isn't there to support it. So this is a situation where a few ounces of planning up front will save you pounds and pounds of reacting to problems when the implementation, the installation, and the training didn't go right. At this point, we'd like to thank you very much for attending this webinar on building your system with the right ecosystem of partners, and thank you very much.